I wanted to write something that represented me and my friends, gay men in Boston and in Miami who were looking for Mr. Right. We're unlucky in love, and we're professionals, and we just can't seem to find that special person. So in all my books, it's sort of like a guy, Sex and the City, same Sex and the City. That's the model I follow. And so what I'm going to read to you from is my third book. It's called Beantown Cubans, and it has two narrators. The first narrator is Carlos Martin, who's a school teacher from Miami, moves to Boston after his mom dies. He lives in Harvard Square, and he's adjusting, mourning loss of his mom. And she appears in his dreams and kind of nags him and tells him to take his vitamins, wash his sheets. And there's some unfinished business with him and his father and his sister back in Miami. But the second narrator, this is where the romantic thread comes in to keep the theme, alive here. The second narrator is Tommy Perez, who's from the first book, and he's a reporter for the Boston Daily newspaper, and he's Cuban American from Miami, and it sounds a little bit like me. And his storyline is, in the first book, he met this great, good-looking guy named Mikey, who looks like Ethan Hawke, guidance counselor. I like Ethan Hawke. Guidance counselor. He falls madly in love with Mikey, and Mikey helped him feel at home in Boston. That was Tommy's storyline in the first book, and he realized Mikey had some issues with alcohol, and he was trying to understand that. So in the second book, Tommy comes back to support Carlos, the new narrator, but also Tommy's storyline in this book is, he bumps into Mikey at the Barnes and Nobles, and Mikey tells him he's sober, and all those old feelings reemerge, and he had always prayed that Mikey would eventually be sober. So the whole storyline with Tommy here is that he's trying to support Mikey through sobriety, and the whole romance reignites. And how do you date someone who has an addiction and they're in recovery, and you don't have an addiction? So in all my books, I use the real life locations. So if you read my books and you wonder where what Club Cafe is, well, Barnes and Nobles is obvious. It kind of gives you an idea. It's sort of blending fiction with reality, but except I didn't use the Boston Globe because I don't want to get sued by my. So in this scene, Tommy's going to Barnes and Nobles to get his brownie that he gets every night because he's like Mr. OCD. He's always in his routine, and so he's at the Barnes and Nobles and he bumps into Mikey for the first time since they've broken up. So I'm not really good with voices, but I think I can pull off a gay Cuban from Miami living in Boston. So where I'm going to begin from is Tommy is paying Selena, who's the cashier girl at the cafe at Barnes and Nobles, and he's just paying her. So that's where I'll start from. Just as Selena hands me my spare change, I hear a familiar, raspy Boston accent behind me in line. The sound breaks my focus from Selena. "Tommy Perez, is that you?" the voice inquires. I turn around and my heart races at 1,000,000 miles a minute. A flush of nervous energy fills me when I recognize the sparkling sky blue eyes, the brown spiked hair, and freckled nose and cheeks. Mikey. My fluttery nerves temporarily paralyze my vocal cords. He's standing behind me in line at our former meeting place. "You're still in Boston? I figured you'd be back in Miami by now, after your first winter," Mikey says, looking as cute as ever. I wish I could swim inside his eyes. His skin looks more vibrant and healthier than last year. The bags under his eyes are gone. "Hey you," I blurt out, as I realize that he's right here in front of me. I gather my composure. I wouldn't want him to think I'm nervous or excited or anything. Internally, I'm jumping up and down at the vision. "Yeah, I decided to stick around. You Bostonians couldn't get rid of me that easily." I regain my composure after the words pop out of my mouth. A smile flashes across Mikey's face. What are you doing around here? You're kind of far from Cambridge," he says in his Boston accent, which makes far sound like far. "Actually, I bought a condo in Dorchester. I'm pretty close. I hike in the Blue Hills on Saturdays. Ever been?" "I've lived here all my life and I've never been to the Blue Hills. That's very adventurous of you, Tommy, hiking alone." "Well, there are families hiking too, so I never feel too alone." I stand with my bagged brownie in one hand and my bottled water in the other. As we stand here, our eyes lock wordlessly as other customers mosey around and give Selena their orders. In this moment, I take a full visual inventory of Mikey. I'm lost in thought. He sports a dark blue hooded jacket with a brown t-shirt underneath, baggy blue jeans, and brown sneakers. He always liked matching blue with brown. My brown eyes quickly reacquainted themselves with his blue ones, which looked like portals into a bright sky. Oh, those eyes. They seemed to mesmerize and seduce at the same time, just like they did when we first met a year ago. I couldn't break away from his stare then, and I certainly can't break away from it now. I'm surprised that we bumped into each other here. I always figured I would see him out at a bar drinking, as usual. Well, I haven't seen any mountain lions in the Blue Hills. One time I got lost and felt like I was in a scene from the Blair Witch Project. It took me 2 hours to find my way out of the forest. I was lost in Shrekland. Mikey bites down on his tongue and smiles. I could always make him laugh with my goofy jokes. His smile inspires me to smile widely. That powerful, unspoken magic between us remains alive and well. It hits me with a physical force as he holds my gaze. I remember the feeling fondly. That old desire returns. Want to sit down and talk? Mikey suggests as he gently runs his hand through his hair, similar to the way Ethan Hawke has in many of his films. I have a big thing for Ethan Hawke. I'm sure I can meet you at the corner table, like old times, I say. I walk to the corner table. The whole way I'm floating on air, just from seeing Mikey and being able to talk to him while he's sober. I wait for him as he orders from Selena, who quickly winks at me when she sees Mikey headed my way. She silently mouths to me, "He's so cute," with her wide-eyed enthusiasm. I mouth back, "I know," and raise my thick black eyebrows to emphasize the point. As I wait for Mikey, I run my right hand through my gelled curls. Mikey scoots in his chair and sits across from me. He holds his steaming white mocha latte. He softly blows on the drink and takes a sip. We sit by the window facing a parking lot of SUVs, people run in and out, grabbing cups of coffee and tasty desserts. The late afternoon sun holds steady, lighting up the highway and hills in the distance. If I don't leave soon, it'll be too dark for me to hike, but I don't get many opportunities to hang out with Mikey. I don't want this moment to fade with the looming sunset. "So Tommy, what have you been up to? You look really good. I like the fact that you cut your hair shorter. Those wild curls of yours were getting out of control," he says, sticking out his tongue and biting down on it, his trademark playfulness surfacing. I've always been amused by Mikey's expressions. They are windows into his feelings. Right now, he's quite happy to see me again.
Aww.